What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Horror Show. I'm Cecil Laird, reporting live here from Phoenix Comicon 2017, and I am here with a very special, extraordinarily talented gentleman by the name of David Finch. If you guys know comics at all, then you definitely know this gentleman. Thank you very much for joining us, sir.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Now, part of the reason why I wanted to speak to Mr. Finch is not only because of his stellar comic book artwork, which you guys would know from Brian Michael Bendis' Avengers Disassembled run, as well as launching the new Avengers series after that. He did an outstanding, especially for you horror lovers, Moon Knight story arc there that basically, I'm telling you, some of the images of the faceless man just kind of really stuck with me. I don't know the lore of Moon Knight that much, so I can't remember the actual character's name that was like that, but the image is still there very prevalently. And then, of course, he's been doing a lot of DC recently. He just relaunched the recent Batman series, if I'm not mistaken.
Right, yeah.
Well, let me just start with some of your horror work, because I know you've done a lot of horror comics as well. I didn't quite have enough time to get them all committed to memory, but rattle some off for some of the people here.
Well, I'd say Moon Knight especially. I did a Dracula story quite a few years ago that was a lot of fun with, it's been so long. And, what else have I've done a lot,
So prolific, it's got to
I managed to draw Swamp Thing in something, For the most part, though, I've really always been a superhero artist. So whenever I get horror stuff, it's like it's a special little thing because, comics, superheroes are most of the business, and it's the kind of jobs that I generally get, which I love Batman because Batman really lends itself to that kind of sensibility,
Some of your renditions of some of the Bat villains are completely horrific and would be at home in any independent, low budget Batman horror film, quite frankly. It's just incredible. And how long did it take you to get to the point that you're at as far as your own estimation of your training, as it were?
It's an ongoing process, but it took me about 2 years of drawing every day, 10 hours, as many hours as I could possibly get, studying as much as I could before I got my first job. And I got lucky because I started with Top Cow, and they were looking for young artists that they could train. Mark Silvestri was my first boss. He was the X-Men artist. He's phenomenal, and he's a great teacher, So it was like going to school, and I worked for him for 7 years, and I think during the course of that it was probably most of my development as an artist. And then, slowly I try and learn more and try not to forget what I already know, and that's a challenge too,
And how early did you actually pick up a pencil and start doodling?
I always drew, but really not that much. Not as much as a lot of artists that I know. I grew up in an auto town, a small town, and my dad was an engineer. He was
So you were a bit of an outcast as the artist.
Yeah, well, it was not encouraged, I'll put it that way. And I didn't see it as really being any kind of career. And it wasn't until my sister actually read comics, and, I used to tease her about it. I thought, comic books, what are you doing? And I finally actually picked one up and really looked at it, and it made me a huge fan. And I realized, I liked heavy metal. That's pretty much all I still listen to, and so I drew skulls and stuff like that in high school. And then it made me realize that I could actually create my own little worlds. And ever since then, I was off and running.
Nice. Is there a horror character that you've had a chance to portray in drawing form that really is like, I loved when I got to do that, or not yet?
There have been a few. The guy from Disturbed, who has a name and I totally forget, but I'm like such a visual guy, I'm the worst with names. But yeah,
I'm the same way.
I did a Disturbed album cover for their Indestructible album, and I did a couple of things for that, and that was a blast. Because actually before me, Greg Capullo did a cover for them just before that, and I'm a massive fan, so it was an honor to do that.
That's good shoes to step into
right
there, absolutely. Yeah. So what is your favorite Bat villain to draw then, if you lean towards the darker edge?
All time, probably Scarecrow, I think.
I love Scarecrow. Oh.
Thank you. Yeah, I've managed to draw a lot of Scarecrow and Batman because it's the character I keep asking for, So yeah, he's a lot of fun.
Make sure and pull up the pictures so they'll see all
of
this
great.
While we're talking about it. Yeah, because if you guys haven't seen Mr. Finch's work, it's just unbelievable if you're a fan of the dark. Now, let's jump into the horror a little bit. So, what was your first experience with the horror genre that you can recall?
For me, it was the Saturday afternoon thriller.
Lock your doors, close your windows, turn out your lights, for thrills and chills await you every Saturday afternoon at 2 on the TV20 Thriller Double Feature. Every Saturday at 2 p.m. right here on TV20.
I grew up just across from Detroit in Windsor in Canada, and we used to get that on like Channel 50 or whatever it was, and it would come on after the cartoons in the morning, and there's some pretty bad movies, but when you're young, that stuff is pretty powerful, And I remember I watched a friend of mine. His parents would let him rent anything. I never, like, at my house we didn't get to watch much, but we watched Evil Dead, and it's kind of a tongue-in-cheek movie, But when you're 13, 14 years old and you haven't seen that much, that movie scared me to death, And it's still, I watch that movie now, and it's a little campy, but it still has that effect,
It's good. Did you watch the remake?
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
What did you think of that?
I loved it. I thought it was great.
So you're not a remake poo-pooer just based on principle like some people are.
I just want a good movie, And look, if somebody does a remake, I still have the old one. If they don't do a good job,
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Exactly. That's what I always say. They didn't film the new movie on the old prints.
Right, yeah.
So let's keeping in that vein. What about Poltergeist? Did you like the Poltergeist remake?
Yeah, I really liked it. I thought it was great. It had I'm the worst with names. The old guy, he was good. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought they did that really well also. So, well, let me ask this. What's your favorite horror icon of all time? Just to put you on the spot.
Oh, yeah. Wow, I don't know. Look, I like zombie movies a lot, but that's not really an icon. Sure, yeah, probably the first one, George Romero. I mean, it's such a powerful movie, and even now, you watch it, it really holds up,
Absolutely. We actually, just at Mad Monster last weekend, we interviewed John Russo and two of the main actors from the original film, and we interviewed George Romero a year ago, so you're in good company here on the channel.
Oh, that's great. I saw George Romero from a distance one time. I was too afraid to go up and,
He's so personable. He's so nice. It's his handlers you got to watch out for.
Okay, yeah. Whenever somebody's like a hero of mine, it's tough to,
You never know because you don't want them to be a dick.
Right, yeah. And I don't know what I would say,
Yeah, I loved your movie. Yeah, you and a million other people,
thanks,
right? That's
buddy.
what I think of. Yeah. I almost went up to Curtis Armstrong upstairs because, he's great in Supernatural and was awesome in Revenge of the Nerds, but I'm like, I'm sure so many people have told him that. I just looked from afar,
Yeah.
So I get it. Now, to follow up with the icon question, if you could do, now they may not be your favorite, but maybe visually they're the most striking to you. So if you had to do a one-shot comic of any horror property, your Jasons, your Hellraisers, your Jaws even, Chucky, whatever, is there anything that would jump out to you like that I've always wanted to give a shot at?
I mean, part of me is thinking Frankenstein, because, come on, it's Frank, but yeah, probably maybe Jason.
Yeah, okay.
I don't know. I never think about it because the opportunity never comes up. It's not like anybody ever says, "Hey, you want to do a Friday the 13th comic?" Yeah, that would be a lot of fun though. I love that mask.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Now, did you? I know you worked on Ultimate X-Men for a while too. Did you do any of the Ultimatum? Am I wrong on that?
Yeah, I did an Ultimatum crossover.
Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah, because I remember some disturbing images there too. If I'm not mistaken,
and that was not just my fault. That was Jeff
Loeb's writing. Yeah.
But I'll tell you what.
Did you do the Blob rendition of the?
Sure
Oh
did,
my
yeah.
God, I knew it. Okay, guys, the Wasp, wasn't it?
The Wasp.
Oh, that image, it's still with me. That's why I was like, you did Ultimatum. I know you did.
Oh, we got a lot of flack for that one.
Did you?
Yeah, people were pretty upset. But, it was in the script. So,
Did it justice.
And I thought, if we're going to do that, we're doing it right. I'm going to make it as horrible and disturbing as I possibly can,
Mission accomplished, sir.
Thank you very much.
Awesome. So, Jason, then, now, to that end, you like horror. Now, when you're drawing, if you were to draw something like that, would you lean towards gory, or do you prefer horror that is more allusions to gore or allusions to monsters, or do you like it right up on Front Street?
Drawing it, I would prefer the illusion more.
Really?
But watching movies, look, I like Saw, all the Saw movies. I like, like Hostel, I'm all for that kind of stuff too.
You don't mind the torture porn?
No, I love it all. And look, I don't want to see somebody actually get hurt. And I don't like watching, they show like YouTube videos of people falling on their skateboard. I don't even like that. But when it comes to a horror movie, it's not real.
Yeah.
So, I don't really have I love all that stuff, but then I really love some of the more psychological stuff. The problem is that stuff to pull off well is really difficult. It's harder to find, you know?
It is. I tell you what, one that jumped to mind immediately, if you haven't seen it, Absentia, is an independent movie that was made by the same guy that did Hush, that just came out on Netflix last year, as well as Oculus. He did both of those movies, and Absentia is a very psychological, low-key, slow-moving, but amazing for horror fans in that vein. So definitely check that out if you can. Finally, let me just say, have you seen what's been your favorite cosplay that you've seen wander by here at Phoenix Comicon? We'll bring it back to Comic-Con to end it out.
Apocalypse. There's a guy walking around dressed as Apocalypse, and it's the original Walt Simonson comic version, to a T. So
like
perfect.
A huge thing.
Big guy. Yeah, he's a big guy anyway, but then he's got like the kind of muscle padding. It's incredible.
So not the big blue guy, the blue meanie from the last movie that they tried to pull off.
Right. No, they should have put this guy in the movie.
I agree. Well, I want to say thank you very much, David, for joining the Horror Show for this interview. I greatly appreciate it. Keep up the amazing work. I've got all of your DC issues so far, most of your Marvel, so I'm going to continue that trend. Keep making them for me, if no one else. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And honestly, consider maybe doing a horror comic. I know it's a lot to ask for someone that's as busy as you are, but I would love to see it, and I know you've got the chops for it, so I beseech you, please.
One day I need to do it. You know,
really
not really a Marvel or DC thing because it's so hard to get something, but...
Is a creator-owned thing, is that really hard to do nowadays, or is that something that would be the way to go for you?
That would be the way to go, yeah. I'm actually doing a creator-owned comic coming up, which, we haven't announced yet. It's going to be all like a one-shot, so it's not going to be, a monthly issue thing. It's going to be large format. I'm going to spend forever on it, make it as good as I can make it. It's with a big writer. I'm excited about it, pumped. And then, maybe after that, Meredith, my wife, she wrote Wonder Woman for a while.
Working on Wonder Woman
and
for
she's
a
got
while.
a creator-owned book she's doing now. And we've been talking. We have an idea that actually really is much more, this is, if I'm going to do something that I really want to do, it's always going to veer more toward that. So, yeah, maybe I'm hoping next couple of years.
All right, a little exclusive here, guys. Yeah, be on the lookout for David and Meredith Finch's upcoming creator-owned horror comic book, which they now absolutely have to do since he jogged that idea right here on camera.
So locked in. That's right.
So thanks again for joining us for our coverage and interviews here from Phoenix Comicon 2017. We will be back doing it again next year. Mr. Finch, before we go, where can they go to check out your work online?
I don't know.
Okay. Google David Finch. David Finch, comic book artist. You will definitely get there. All right, guys. Thanks again. And remember, stay scared. Yes. We like to end our interviews here with and remember, and then we say stay scared together to remind everyone to enjoy the horror genre. And remember, stay scared. Thank you very much, sir.
Was I supposed to say that too?
Yeah, you want to do it together?
Okay, yeah.
Thanks again, and remember, stay scared.
I did it.
One more time.
Again, you cut me off.
It's okay.
Oh,
it's
I'm
okay.
the worst. Okay, all right.
It's okay. It's okay. All it means is we're going to have a blooper reel now. All right, guys. Thanks again. And remember, stay scared. Yes.